Today we got a question from Brandon who's curious as to whether or not drilling is absolutely necessary for jiu-jitsu training, because he's heard me talk about it on the channel, on the podcast and everything else. He's like, dude, you always talk about drilling. Is it necessary though? Because personally, he either doesn't like doing it, and two, he says he finds it hard to find other people to do drilling sessions with at his gym. So he's wondering, is there any way, is there another way to work around that in order to improve his jiu-jitsu? So yeah, brother, there's lots of different ways. I'll say it like this with drilling. Drilling is not necessarily fun, right? Drilling is difficult because, especially if you do it right, you have to be focused 100% on the movements to get the most out of them. There's a really cool book, it's over there somewhere in my bookshelf, called Peak, and in the book they talk about different things related to skill acquisition, and a lot of it is related to sports. And in one case they were talking about these champion swimmers, like they were talking about the best swimmers versus the really good swimmers but still not the best. They were like, what's the difference between them? And they were trying to figure out these differences, and one of the differences that they found was that the people that swam that were really, really good, like the top, when they're swimming, they're trying to fill in and sort of tune into their body and see how everything feels. So as they're doing the strokes, they're not just doing them and mindlessly going through the movement. They're thinking about how everything feels and trying to sharpen those reps up. Whereas the people who were really good were drilling the same amount of time, but when they were going, they really weren't that into it. They were just like, I'm just doing this because, I got to put my training time in, and I will, what am I going to get for lunch or something afterwards? And that's a big deal, right? Now, the problem with that is that's very difficult to be focused on something for 45 minutes, an hour, whatever straight. And afterwards, they found that those people were exhausted afterwards. And deliberate training, a lot of times like drilling, is very tough, both physically and it can be tough mentally. But while it's not as fun as rolling, because rolling can sometimes you can blank out and go, it's very effective. And I like it for that reason. And so when I train with drilling, it's almost like when I'm doing repetitions of lifting weights. I'm pushing through and it hurts, it burns, but I'm going to like the after effect later on. And also like dieting, I would rather eat these foods that are tasty and everything else. But you know what? I also want to look better with my clothes off, so I'm going to be happy that I eat this chicken breast and avocado and spinach rather than eating pizza, right? And so drilling is kind of that for me. It's like my broccoli and lean meats of training. But that said, there are other ways to get around this. My buddy Bernardo, who we had him out to the gym back in 2016. It was a huge honor to have him out there. And I freaking love that guy. We had him out at the gym back in 2016, and he was doing class and everything else. And I remember talking to him then, and then later on we had him on the podcast talking about this. He said that he really didn't like drilling. It's not his favorite thing to do. He doesn't like it. He finds it boring. So what he would do is he would come into the gym and he would simply have one move that he's trying to work on, and he's going to try to hit everyone with it. Now, in one case, when he came and trained with us, he was actually doing his omoplata stuff. And so he's trying to omoplata everyone. That was his focus. And so again, that can be another way to do it. I actually talk about that idea in my game plan, or not the game plan, the drilling ebook that I give away when you guys sign up to my email list, which you can find somewhere around here. Basically, the idea is that, instead of drilling passively, there can be active drilling where you use it on someone else. And you can do this with people who a lot of times are less skilled than you. And I guess that's the big thing too, is for you to be able to do that type of training, you're going to have people that are less experienced than you, or that technique or position is going to have to be up to a certain level before you're going to be able to access it. Bernardo was one of the best of his era, so of course he's going to be able to beat most people. If you're not up to that speed or that skill, then it may be beneficial to drill the technique for a little bit first. Me personally, with a lot of techniques, anytime I'm trying to add something into the game, I have to drill it first personally. But that said, those are some ideas to kick around. Yes, you can drill, and again, take my thoughts on that if you will, but you don't have to. Again, Bernardo said he didn't really drill much, and his thing was just rolling and doing active, what I call sort of active drilling, where you're just going into the training session very deliberately, going for that one move and getting yourself reps in that way. And so that can be an alternative to, have a drilling system, if you will. So anyway, that's the idea. Hopefully that helps you, Brandon. Thanks for the question. And guys, I'll talk to you next time.